Awesome.
Hi, Pierce. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, it's great to be with you. I'm very excited. Thank you for this opportunity.
So how about you introduce yourself for us?
Awesome. Sounds great. I'm Pierce Jackson. Obviously, I'm 19 years old and I'm a dual sport collegiate athlete from Trinity University. Um, I'm originally from Dallas, Texas, though.
So what's your journey with mental health been like?
My journey with mental health is honestly like slightly different than a lot of others. I've always cared about like my friends, like mental health and like their health in general, and how like whether injuries and stuff affect them, and always like want to check in and be there. But as far as like mental health, I knew it, but I didn't know it. I knew of it, but I hadn't really pushed towards it. And so this year I joined the hidden opponent at Trinity University, thanks to Kai McClellan, and she invited me into the situation, and it really brought my attention like to this. It was like kind of like for the first jolt, to the spark of saying, "Oh, this is mental health. Like, look at it." And so I did. Like I really like started to think like heavily on what mental health is for athletes. However, I didn't like fully come to like understand it until my second semester class with my teacher, Dr. Crooms. Class was called African American in Sport Experience. I thought it'd be interesting, like a cool little thing, but it ended up being so much more. We talked a lot about like the athletic identity and like the mental health of athletes who put so much time and so much effort into their sport that they lose almost themselves in them, and they become totally consumed by this. This really like brought my attention towards like the issue, as when these athletes get hurt or something happens, they they lose a part of themselves because they don't have it. And that's like what really piqued my interest, which led me into choosing a major of sports psychology, and helping these athletes who are struggling with these mental health battles. Um, However, me personally, as far as it goes with mental health, while like I've like relatively like maintained like good composure as far as mental health, there's been a huge strain, on me, as far as just like the whole time commitment of being a student athlete. A lot of people forget that these weekends when everybody else is like relaxing, like resting, like maybe catching up on needed like school and sleep, athletes may be traveling halfway across the country to compete and come back and do those same assignments. And it nearly pushed me away from the sport. I'd actually decommitted from Trinity in order to kind of like protect myself. I didn't know if I wanted to, because I thought I was broken down from football. I was like, this is as far as my body goes. But it really has like a great journey. Like I recommitted, and it was like it's been amazing like doing this, but it's difficult. It makes you constantly stay in check as far as how you go about just like taking care of like your mind and your body. you know
Yeah, for sure. I mean, taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health, for sure.
it is. That's the thing that we forget though.
I know, it's so easy to overlook.
It is.
Now, as an athlete, I mean, you kind of touched on it a bit, but how would you say that your mental health kind of influenced your training, your competing, and how your football itself kind of influenced your mental health?
Mm. So it really impacts it like on days when life is hitting you with like a right hook and then an uppercut. It's like, oh, like that bad thing just happened, and now this next bad thing can happen, like whether it be an argument with like a girlfriend or boyfriend for any athlete, breakup, a bad test grade is a huge one. It's like, oh, I got a 60, but it's Friday night, I have to go play in high school, in the same way in college is Saturday night. I still gotta keep going, even if I completely blew this midterm. It's tough. And like in those aspects, it really, really hits hard, because you already aren't yourself because of what's already happening. And now you have to like almost transform yourself into like this other person in order to go out there and put on this other image that everybody expects you to maintain, of being this perfect athlete, of being that guy who's like, oh yeah, like I got this, nothing's phasing me. Like I can run into a brick wall and keep going, you know. But it's tough because life is in its own right a brick wall. And when you hit it, it hurts sometimes, and it's hard to like get back up and keep pushing through it, you know. And
Yeah,
it
no,
doesn't have to be competition days either. I'm sorry. It doesn't have to be competition days either. It could be practices as well, you know. It's still a lot of like work, and it's dangerous too, like depending on like what you're lifting and what sport you're in. Like continue. I'm sorry.
no worries. Yeah, no, I think everyone can relate to having run into many brick walls in their life for sure.
It's tough.
Now, like your teammates and your family, how have they kind of played into your mental health journey?
As far as my teammates and family, they have played a huge role in my mental health as far as sports go. I really rely on community when it comes to like maintaining myself, you know, and my family has been a huge, huge role, whether it just be talking to my brothers. I have an older brother and a twin brother. And talking to them and walking through like the different stages of being an athlete, you know, being a twin, my brother's always been right next to me. He knows exactly like what I'm going through at all times.
Mhm.
And talking to my older brother who's played on the collegiate football scene, he's able to guide me and give me a lot of influence on what direction I need. And of course, my mom provides wisdom. But I also think it's key that football players, and not just football players, all athletes open up to their teammates. It's tough. It really is. It's like you feel like a family, but you don't talk about such sensitive things. But when you do, it changes the whole game, because like when you have 10 other players perfectly in line with you, and for football, you're like 11. These 10 other players know exactly what I'm going to do, exactly what I'm going to think, exactly how I'm going to do it. And if I just trust in them outside of the football field, that's an even better team, you know? Because in the same way that they pick me up when I'm messing up on the football field, they can do the same thing in life. But it's so hard for us to get out of our shell and really do that, you know?
Yeah, and I think especially for athletes, like sometimes like we have this notion that like we're athletes, like we're competing at this high level, like we're not allowed to like struggle at all, or even or at least admit our struggles. We have to be like keep on training, keep on competing. Like we don't want to be seen as like weak or fragile. Like we have to be strong and keep on training, keep on competing, like never falter. And I think that can be really harmful sometimes.
It definitely can, you know, because you get into this mindset of thinking you have to be this perfect being. You don't, you're just a human. But we forget that sometimes. And it really can lead to like a downfall.
What would you say that your kind of biggest struggle has been?
My biggest struggle thus far has been working out alone. It especially like so during COVID, I had my brother, my twin, right? But he's no longer playing collegiate sports. So now when I go work out, it's just me, right? That's been the biggest thing for me to overcome, because being alone is just a foreign, like weird concept for me to really grapple. And when you're there, you're lifting and you're running, and you feel like, oh, like I have nothing to push me through. You don't have like that person next to you saying, keep going, you got this. It's just you and your mind. And in the same way with mental health, it's like getting over your mind is the hardest part. And like when you're training alone like that it's so hard to get over that hump, you know. And that's been the biggest challenge for me. That was part of the reason why it had pushed me like away to decommit originally in the first place, because just that sense of, oh, this is too much. Oh, I'm alone. I have like nothing to build me up, you know. That was the hardest thing for me as an athlete to overcome, was that bridge from playing always like tethered to playing alone.
Yeah, I think during COVID especially, lots
Mm.
of people, athletes, and I mean not just athletes, like everyone, I think felt a lot of the people felt impacted by just like the loneliness and isolation, and I think it definitely took a toll on people's mental health too, just not having the same
Yeah.
social interactions that they normally have.
Mm. You forget how valuable your team is until you can't hang with them or be with them all the time, you know.
Exactly. You don't realize like just how much you rely on something until you don't have it anymore.
Oh yeah, all the time. So,
So what tools and strategies helped you kind of manage your mental health?
like I said earlier, I'd say it's community, having circles to like lift you up when you can't stand on your own. Mental health itself is such a large weight, right? And trying to manage that weight on your own is near impossible, just like it would be if you were to get underneath the squat rack and try and do 900 pounds. You just can't do it, you know? But when you let others around you help you lift it, help you and support you and like carry you through your situation, has been like the best strategy for me for mental health. Because a lot of the times you see these cases of just depression and loss of self, feeling degraded, just because you're constantly beat down by all of those others like around you, and even like when you see others, you feel jealous, like whether we try to or not, it's like, oh, I wish I was that strong. I wish I was that fast, But when you have others to pick you up and help you like, and work through that and get you stronger and get you faster, you can get to that point that you were jealous of before faster than you can when you're doing it alone. Because when you have friends to help you, they're the ones who can get you to go the extra mile. They're the ones who can get you to the extra weight. And they're the ones that make you feel secure, And I think has been like not just the best thing for mental health for me, but also in life in general, in every aspect. Doing a group project on your own is never a good situation. But when you
No,
rely on
definitely not.
others, you do it. It's awesome.
Yeah, community is an amazing thing for sure.
It is.
So I guess we're starting to wrap up here, but just to finish off, what kind of words of advice would you give to someone who's currently struggling with their own mental health?
Mm. First off, don't give up. Don't quit. Um, the only time you have a 100% chance of failure is when you give up. You may feel like you have a 99%, but as long as you keep on to that hope, you still have like that small percent. And also, don't underestimate the power like that your friends have and what like impact they can have on you. And yeah, it sounds like a corny thing from like a kid's show. Oh my God, friends, right? But it's it's so crucial, and they're your friends for a reason, and they're already by your side. They're just like the perfect crutches for you to use to get back healthy again. And the biggest step towards that is saying the first words. It's really hard to open up and to put your pride down and to say, I need y'all to lift me and help me. It's hard, especially as athletes who have so much confidence in what they do and in their abilities and stuff like that. It's like, oh, mental health is such a small thing. But if you open up and talk, then soon enough, those feelings will just fade away, because you know that like no matter what, you got out of it in the first place because your friends were there, and those friends aren't going to leave you. Like y'all are tethered now, y'all just stick together, and no matter what happens, like you can always get out of like the little ditch or hole that you've dug yourself into.
I love that. I know, like sometimes it's, as you said, it's just taking that first step of opening up and deciding to let others in. But kind of once you open that door, sometimes like amazing things can happen. Like, as you said, your friends are there, they want to support you, and maybe your friends have something that they want to share with you too. And so maybe opening that door opens kind of the conversation around mental health, and then you can kind of all support each other and have those conversations.
Yeah, really can. So.
All right, well, that's it. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. It's been a
Thank you so
pleasure.
much. It has been awesome being on here and getting to talk to you about this subject that needs to be talked about more often. So thank you so much for the opportunity.